let me introduce all of our speakers and ask each one of them for an opening round of statements and remarks. First of all, I would like to ask Mr. Pan Xinchun, who's the Vice President and Secretary General of China Oceanic Development Foundation, for his views on which sectors of the blue economy will be driving the growth for the entire world. Any particular insight and analysis will be very welcome. So thank you, Mr. Pan.
哪个领域能促进全球的蓝色经济发展？这个问题，非常深、非常大，也非常的好。那么目前蓝色经济发展最快的，我认为是海跟装备，这个高端全部制造，深海、远海养殖，就现代化的养殖，还有就是生物制药，还有就是海洋旅游加文化加科技加体育加食品加康养等等，现在应该说发展最快。根据我们的研究，那么海跟装备为什么发展最快？海跟装备就是因为我们现在要向深海发展，所以需要更高端的装备。我们要应对全球气候变化，我们经济要向绿色低碳转型，需要更多的技术装备来支撑。我们要保护生物多样性，所以我们要更好的技术来支撑。我们要促进全球海洋可持续发展，所以我们要更好的技术装备支撑。那么现在，去年用了19年时间 ，BBNJ 就是国家管辖海域以外的这个大的一个联合国的一个公约，叫 BBNJ 协定，很快就要实施。这个又对我们整个的开发提出了更高的要求，比如说对全部的这个航行提出的要求，对它的油漆、对它的螺旋桨、对它的噪声、对它的排放等等提出了更高的要求。那么这些都要高的装备、高的权利来支撑它。
Thank you, Mr. Pan, for outlining some of the most important subsectors of the maritime economy. We will have 2 or 3 rounds of specific questions, so you are most welcome to share some more technical and economic specifics with us. We're all very fascinated. Right, thank you. So our second speaker today, as you can see, is already online. He's Mr. Erik Jacobsen. He's the partner and chairman of Menon Economics from Norway. He's joining us online from Norway today. I would like to ask him to share some of his views, including latest findings from his research on his book on the global maritime economic players. What his latest assessments are about the growth prospects for the different sectors of the blue economy or the oceanic economy. So thank you, Mr. Jacobsen.
Thank you. Greetings from Oslo. Let me start by saying that China is in the forefront of the blue economy. For example, in leading the way in offshore wind, and China has also become the leading maritime nation in the world. In the 2024 edition of the Leading Maritime Cities of the World report, China has actually 7 cities on the top 30 rank, with Shenzhen now on the 23rd place. And Guangzhou is also on the top 30 list. This conference is meant to cover the whole blue economy, which, as already been said, is hard to define and it's harder to box in, and also when it comes to the size and growth. The ocean industries, the blue economy, cover a wide and diversified spectrum of industries. Some of them are quite related to each other. Some are quite unrelated. Some are emerging, others are mature. Some are part of the climate problem. Others are part of the climate solution. Some have specified property rights, as others have not. Some are immobile, that is, they are site-specific, and the control of the states, single states. Others are mobile, they are footloose and vulnerable to overconsumption. The only thing all of them have in common that they are dependent on shipping operation, on maritime operation. This is true for, of course, for transportation of products from bulk, dry and wet bulks to cars, to consumer goods in containers. It's also true for passenger transportation. It's true for offshore oil and gas extraction, for production of offshore wind, both the bottom fixed and the below floating ones. It's true for fisheries, for aquaculture, for coastal tourism and cruise, and finally for deep sea mining. And the market value of all these vessels, the global fleet of vessels that serve the ocean industries is approximately $1.4 trillion. And among these different ocean industries, there will be, in general, a strong growth, but particularly a high growth in three areas, I would say. One is in tourism, another is in renewable energy, particularly connected to offshore wind, and also in food production, not from fisheries, but from aquaculture. And China is also a strong player in aquaculture, after now more onshore than offshore, but probably that will also be a change in the future. And on a little longer time perspective, mineral extraction after 2030 will probably also have strong growth. I think I'll leave it there, and then later I'd like to come back to the huge and growing sustainability issues and the need for international cooperation to solve these sustainability problems. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Jacobson. Yes, again, since we will have a few rounds of more specific questions about the most promising sectors, technologies, and initiatives, you are most welcome to share some more examples, success stories with us. Next, I would like to call on Mr. Duan Xiaofeng. He is the Director of the Maritime Economy Research Department at the National Marine Data and Information Science. So for some detailed insider look at specific sectors of the oceanic economy, especially from China's perspective, could you share some additional measures and factors that will sustain and accelerate the growth of the Chinese blue economy? Thank you.
谢谢主持人的介绍。那么，蓝色经济呢是一个非常广泛，也是一个很系统的一个理念。它不仅能够推动经济的增长，也能促进就业，同时呢也能够更好地协调经济发展与资源环境保护之间的关系。那么从这个蓝色经济所包含的这个产业的部门，包括这个分类体系来说，也是更为广泛的。如果以中国为例的话，按照中国现行的这个国家标准，那么海洋经济就已经包括了15个主要海洋产业，同时也包括了海洋科研、教育、公共管理、服务等这些作为重要支撑的部门。同时也包括与这些产业所相关联的上下游产业，所以我认为正是这些产业的转型升级，同时呢，通过转型升级催生一些新的发展业态、新的发展模式，这些呢才是我们构成蓝色经济发展未来的一个重要的潜力。那么从现在这个阶段来看呢，我认为主要是有这样3个方面的转型升级，可能是更能受到大家的关注，或者说是不可忽视的方面。一方面呢，就是这个绿色化的转型。那么能源技术，特别是清洁能源技术的发展，对我们整个人类的能源结构呢带来了非常显著的变化。以中国为例，那么从2018年到现在，我们是以3%的这个能耗的增速支撑了6%的经济增长。我们的这个能耗的强度是在不断的降低，同时在这个风力发电、 太阳能发电，包括这个生物智能发电等这方面的占比也是不断提升的。具体到这个海洋来看，那么近10年，我们可以看到这个海上风电非常快速的发展。现在全球已经有将近8000万千瓦的这个海上风电的装机容量，那么中国呢就已经占到了一半。按照国际能源署的一个预测，那么到2035年左右前后吧，大概这个海上风电的这个发展呢进入一个相对的饱和期。那么过了这个饱和期之后，那么下一个接棒的是什么样的能源呢？那么更多的就是这个以这个波浪能、潮汐潮流能以及这个温差盐差能为代表的这个海洋能，所以它将成为未来这个海洋就是国际的这个新能源战略的一个重要的支点，也是发展的方向。那么全球的理论的蕴含量大概超过了750亿这个千瓦的这个海洋能的这个开发利用的潜力，但是目前全世界只有60万千瓦的这个装机容量，所以我们可以看到这个发展的潜力是非常巨大的。同时，一些绿色低碳技术在海洋产业里的应用，也是培育绿色发展，包括我们绿色生产力一个非常重要的领域。那么现在以这个，我们可以从全球这个新接的这个船舶订单来看，这个绿色燃料的船舶，也就是说这个可替代燃料的船舶，这个占比已经超过了30%。那么里边以 LNG 船为主，同时甲醇的这个比例呢也是越来越高的。那么这是在绿色化发展。第二个重要的方向呢，就是这个数字化、智能化。那么如果我们放在20年前或30年前来看，那么我们在谈到海洋领域的智能化，可能大家还觉得还不是很现实，因为当时我们在这个海上的活动较少，我们对于海洋的观测认知更少。那么现在呢，我们的技术可以让我们从海面到海底更清楚地来认识到海洋，所以我们现在这个向下一步需要做的，就是要进一步的汇集各个行业的数据资源，形成这样一个数据平台，通过大数据、人工智能和云计算等等这些的新的这个信息技术，让我们这个海洋产业呢能够得到数字的赋能，能够形成新的增长力。那么还是以这个中国的这个港口建设为例，那么绿色港口智能港口的建设呢非常的快速。那么到现在为止呢，已经沿海有49个自动化码头，这些码头的建设大大的降低了我们能源的消耗、人力的消耗，同时呢也提升了这个港口码头的运行效率。那么第三个方面呢，就是面向这个产业发展新需求，向这个高端化发展。这个刚才潘司长也提到了，比如我们的海洋生物技术。那么海洋生物不仅是直接提供这个人类蛋白质的一个供应，同时现在我们对于海洋产品的水产品的精深加工，对于海洋药物的开发，对于一些这个高端食品，包括健康品等等这些海洋生物制品的研发，这个发展速度是非常快的。那么中国近10年海洋生物制药这一个产业的发展的增速是要远远高于整个海洋经济的增速的，也是现代新兴产业里发展潜力最为巨大的一个产业。同时呢，像这个深远海的装备，特别是像这个浮式风电，然后深海的这个矿产资源开发，以及深远海养殖等等，这些都是未来一个不可忽视的领域。那么我认为这3个方面可能是非常重要的。但是我们要推动这方面的发展呢，可能现在还面临一些挑战。比如一方面就是需要我们共同做的，就是在国际上我们要制定一个相对达成共识的标准。那么什么样的是绿色化？达到什么样的程度应该是绿色化的发展？那么以船舶这个燃料来说，多种的这个绿色燃料都可以来加注，到底应该以哪个为标准？这就涉及到我们港口在基础设施建设的时候，需要配备相应的燃料的这个加注设备。那么还有一个需要做的，就是我们需要建设一个面向共性技术的一个公共服务平台。只有这样的话呢，我们才能够为更多的企业，包括一些这个行业的发展呢，提供一个非常完备的一种公共服务，减少这个重复的建设和这个资源的浪费。还有呢，就是我们要进一步的提升我们对于蓝色经济可持续发展的认知，因为蓝色经济需要大量的资金的支持，所以如何来推动可持续的蓝色金融，也是未来一个非常重要的一个举措。 我先分享到这里，谢谢主持人。
Right. Thank you, Mr. Duan, for highlighting some of the most important sustainable aspects of the oceanic economy, especially areas where China has a leading edge. For some of our later discussions on the specific technologies and industries, I think we'll very much appreciate more examples that you can provide us with. It seems our conversation on this panel, we're going deeper and deeper into the ocean economy. We have talked about what happens above the oceans, on the surface, what happens inside the oceans, and now we're going to the very bottom, what's happening on the ocean floors. And for this, there's no better expert than Mr. Zhanhai here, who is the chairman of the China Ocean Mineral Resources Research and Development Association. I'm saying we're going deeper because Mr. Zhang's organization is focused on the exploration and exploitation of mineral resources on the ocean floor. So we're going all the way to the bottom, the depth of the ocean riches. So Mr. Zhang, could you share your views on the prospects for development and exploration on the ocean floor? What are we going to see in coming years? What are the surprises? What are the exciting new developments that you envision for this industry? Thank you.
感谢主持人，非常高兴啊，来到全球海洋中心城市论坛，与大家探讨蓝色经济发展。刚才主持人谈到深海的这个开发与保护以及未来，实际上这也是一个全球的一个热点的问题，同时呢，这也是一个难点的问题。在可持续发展议程出台以后，我认为呢，这个在保护的前提下，来利用海洋为人类增进福祉，这是联合国2030可持续发展议程的一个核心的内容。核心的呢，还是要我们人与海洋和谐的相处，来共同的可持续的发展。所以说，我觉得蓝色经济跟以往的我们说的海洋经济还是有一些不同的。我个人认为，我们以前说的这个，或者说我们现在仍然说的这个海洋经济，主要是在国家的一些政策制度的要求下来直接或者间接开发和利用海洋资源和海洋空间的这样一些产业活动。而蓝色经济呢，我认为它是指在全球可持续发展议程框架下，海洋经济发展的一种新的模式，就是说，要以增进海洋健康的海洋福祉这样的一个为目标，同时呢，又在全球海洋治理它的一些相关的规则、一些制度下，要遵守这些制度，比方说，这个 CBD 这个生物多样性公约这个联合国气候变化公约以及欧盟前几年出台的蓝色经济融资原则，以及刚才小峰谈到的这种船舶脱碳等等所以说它是一种在国际规则下运行的这样一种新的一种海洋经济的一种可持续发展的模式。深海应该说是目前人类探索比较少的，目前呢，我们大概对深海的了解也就达到5%所以说对于深海它的一些未来，我觉得也是人类可持续发展最大的这种资源宝库。所以说，保护深海这是第一重要的，特别是深海这些年来的科学的发现，让我们认识到这个几千米的海下还有生物的生存，这个颠覆了人类以前对于说只有在太阳光下才能有生命这样的一些认识。所以说，对于深海的发现，特别是深海生境的一些发现，我觉得是人类认识自然的一个非常大的一个飞跃但是呢，深海呢确实又存在着很多的这些矿产资源 这些生物包括生物基因资源，但是这些资源呢，实际上是可以通过人类在保护的前提下在能够对深海的一些资源开发的一些活动能够有一个环境保护的可持续的一个前提下，是可以利用的。所以说，联合国呢专门成立了国际海底管理局来负责深海资源的这些开发同时呢，也在其他的公约下，比方说即将生效的这个BBN 这公约实际上对于深海它也是一种保护。所以说，我个人认为，我们谈蓝色经济，实际上还是要增加人类的福祉所以说，我个人认为呢，应该是一种在保护和合理利用这样平衡发展的前提下，发展蓝色经济。我觉得这是我们未来应该探索的解决方案和出路。谢谢。
Thank you, Mr. Zhang, for offering this sobering and in-depth look at the sustainable development and exploration of resources on the ocean floor. So far on this panel, we have discussed, especially from China's point of view, the Chinese development and achievement in terms of developing the blue economy, the oceanic economy. But of course, the ocean economy, key stakeholders in the ocean economy globally include some of the most advanced economies in the world, as well as emerging economies and key global south economies. Now from a more trade-related perspective, our next two speakers will bring more important perspectives and prospects for cooperation between Europe and China. So next, I would like to ask Mr. Klaus Zenkel. He's the Vice President of the European Union of Chamber of Commerce in China and Chair of the European Chamber South China Chapter. For Mr. Zenkel, I would like to ask some questions about what potentials do you see between China and the EU in terms of further developing the blue economy, especially given the current trade relations between China and Europe. Right now, we're undergoing some very complex period in terms of trade relations, trade frictions, yet at the same time, huge potential trade prospects for China and Europe. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Moderator Wang. It's an honor for me to be here today to speak, giving me the chance to speak on behalf of the European Chamber. European Chamber in China is here since the year 2000, and we know the business and the partners in China very well. So I'm based here in South China. South China has a very dedicated, let's say, direction towards Europeans. They have a very well business environment. There's a lot of, let's say, connections and partnerships between the different countries. But let me comment on what you mentioned about the trade. Certainly, the trade is most important, that the countries can, let's say, have a good economy. If we have a good economy, then the people also can manage to have a good life. So at the moment, there are some barriers, but when you look at the total figures, that what we can see at the moment, there's a lot of export from China to Europe. And just to tell you, for each 4 containers going from China to Europe, only 1 comes back from Europe. So there's a little bit of trade imbalance. But on the long term, these opportunities are great, and we know that China and Europe, if you look at the business people, they want to work together. They want to have a good relationship. China has the policies demonstrate that the China government is actually very committed for sustainable development in the in the marine manufacturing. And we, at the European Chamber, we have 25 working groups, and one of which is the Marine Economy Working Group. So they are based in Beijing, but they also have nationwide activities. So they work closely together with the government to see what regulations are necessary and required to provide both sides good business opportunities. So China and Europe must work together to find a good way for a sustainable future. So you look at the figures, what came out of the MIT, that China will build over 50% of the world's vessels powered by the low carbon fuels. So like LNG, and so this will be the green move, and this is the figure for the coming year, 2025. So that means China will lead the global green shipbuilding market. China's goal of advancing in the green transition in vessel building calls for both technological innovation and international cooperation. So one research at the European Chamber shows that currently the production of clean energy for shipping in China generates more carbon than using traditional energy. So the true sustainability of the marine economy requires a holistic approach. Not only green shipbuilding, but also the development of low carbon fuels like LNG. The EU is a leader in maritime equipment, green energy production, and green technologies. And the EU enterprises also have a strong willingness to contribute to China's goals. So the prospects are clear. With joint efforts, China and the EU can create a sustainable maritime economy. That's for sure. And we are also looking forward that on the long term, those will be better handled, and more near trade achievements will be reached. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zhanhai, for giving us an outline of the current difficulties as well as the promises for more cooperation. Last but not least, I would like to introduce Mr. Sylvain Fourier. He's the Consul General of France in Guangzhou. Obviously, France is one of the major economies of Europe and also a major stakeholder in terms of the global blue economy. So for Mr. Fourier, I would like to ask him to give us a brief presentation about the French perspective on what the blue economy, the oceanic economy means, and what major achievements France can share with us. Later on, maybe there will be more specific examples of technologies and corporate as well as public projects between China and France that you can share with us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon to everyone. So France is a maritime country with 20,000 kilometers of coastline, 11 million square kilometers of oceans and seas. So the oceans, seas, coastline is fully part of the French economy. French maritime economy is diversified and successful. Shipbuilding, particularly for cruise liners and pleasure craft and ship dismantling, ports that are becoming increasingly competitive, maritime transport, submarines, cables, energy, including tidal power, offshore wind farms, wave energy, fishing, aquaculture, water treatment, and of course, the huge sector of tourism. In 2023, the maritime blue economy represented 100 billion euros in France, more or less 1.5% GDP and 525,000 jobs, around 1.8 national employment. Nevertheless, considering environmental and biodiversity issues related to oceans and coastlines, to assure its continuous growth and development, the maritime economy must become greener and must also be more sustainable in France. This last point, sustainability, is peculiarly true for all activities related to fishing and shell fishing resources. This is why, in the framework of the French national strategy to reach carbon neutrality by 2050, many instruments have been put in place. The different instruments we have now, it's of course legislation, regulation, creation of protected area, restoration and mitigation measures, stricter fishing regulation, and in particular bans on certain destructive nets, financial incentives, and support for research in all areas. France is making efforts to greener its blue economy, but is also an active player within the European Union. Firstly, with the European Union, France is a pillar in the development of projects related to the blue economy through programs such as Horizon Europe. On a global international scale, France is also very active, leading the Sustainable Blue Economy Partnership Initiative, fighting illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing, working on the decarbonization of the maritime transport sector, also closely monitoring the issue of seabed mining we have spoken about. The international strong commitment of France in favor of a greener, sustainable economy reflects in the preparation of the third edition of the United Nations Conference on Oceans. France will host the UN conference in Nice in June 2025 under the theme Accelerating Action and Mobilizing all stakeholders to conserve sustainable use of the oceans. We aim that this third edition produces concrete results, including the drafting of an action plan consisting of voluntary and financial commitments. As we are in China, I would also stress the commitment of France and China to cooperate together in favor of a greener blue economy. France and China established a Franco-Chinese roadmap from Kunming to Nice, which the main objectives are conservation, protection, and restoration of marine and coastal biodiversity, and promotion of environment, multilateralism, fight against illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing, combat pollution, development of scientific knowledge of the oceans, greening of maritime transport, cooperation on the blue economy. Of course, I have just spoken of the state, the French state action, but companies, private and as public companies, are also involved in the blue economy. Indeed, all French companies, part of the blue economy, are following plans and strategies to reduce their greenhouse gas emissions and to reduce their carbon footprint but perhaps we will talk about it later.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Forrier. Thank you. Our panel of speakers have shared a first round of comments and insight. Of course, one very strong common theme that I can see from all of these important statements are, number one, the importance of new technologies. Number two, sustainability itself, because sustainability is a very crucial part of the blue economy itself. We cannot talk about the maritime economy, the blue economy, without talking about green or sustainability. So on these two topics, I would like to ask another round of more specific questions of all of our speakers. Some of you mentioned very exciting new technologies, promising new areas of development, as well as some private initiatives and projects, especially in terms of multinational cooperation, global cooperation, that are going to significantly improve the quality of the blue economy for the future. So based on each of your own expertise, I would like to ask our speakers to share one more round of comments going into more technical specifics about which technologies, which prospects, or which business sectors that you believe are the most important, the most promising, that you personally are watching most closely, that you believe are going to be important for the future of the blue economy, and share some of your technical analyses and thoughts with our speakers. So shall we start with Mr. Zhang?
Thank you. 我觉得刚才主持人说的这个未来哪些技术能够催生特别对于这个可持续的蓝色经济我觉得有这么几个方面一个呢是这个海洋的这些新技术将加速催生这个新质生产力比方说现在这个海上能源开发对蓝色经济具有非常大的这种推动作用，将引起一轮新的这个能源革命比方现在的这些海上风电与这种养殖的结合，这是特别是在中国这是很重要的一个方向。确实这是向着绿色方向发展的，像你刚才谈到的。再有比方说现在这个海上光伏和海上风电的这种风电同场、风光同场再有呢，比方说现在的这个海水电解制氢利用直接的这个风力发电，就可以在海上电解制氢，所以这个呢又提供了一种新的这种绿色能源。再比方说刚才谈到了这个海洋可再生能源特别是全球70%的海洋的在可再生能源基本上来自这种温差能，未来这是一个很大的一个开发的一个前景，但是我们目前对这个技术还没有达到能够商业化用的这个程度，所以说我觉得这个是未来很大的一个潜力所在当然现在我们已经成熟的比方说这种波浪能可以达到至少100兆瓦这样的这种电厂，潮流能也可以达到100兆瓦。目前中国应该说在这个技术上方面呢，跟世界上呢是持平的。目前最大的潮流能我们达到了1.6兆瓦的这样单机的这样的一个，未来可能达到2.5。还有比方说现在波浪能已经达到了单机1兆瓦，所以说这些我觉得在未来不远的将来都是非常大的这种应用场景。谢谢。
Thank you, Mr. Zhang, for raising these important new frontiers, especially of maritime power generation. One very interesting thing about this particular panel is this is the first panel I have moderated in the last 2 years, actually. It's special because we have gone halfway through the panel, and none of us has ever mentioned the word AI yet. So in the whole of China, all of these conferences and panels, everybody is talking about AI, but so far we haven't talked about AI. But I guess this is where we tap into AI because of the explosive power demand from AI is going to dominate the economic agenda for all of the world in the future. Now, these new sources of sustainable power, especially from the oceans, are going to prove very important to any nation who is going to depend on AI for a big part of its future economic development. And of course, if any of our other speakers have other means of bringing AI into this conversation, that would be very interesting too. So next, I would like to ask Mr. Pan to share some of his ideas on the most promising new technologies, the most promising projects, or the most promising opportunities for cooperation in terms of the ocean economy. Thank you.
谢谢主持人。这个技术是发展生产力、解放生产力、促进人类文明进步的最核心的力量。所以，我们中国说科技是第一生产力。那么，中国的发展特别重视科技创新。那么，去年中国主席习近平主席提出来，要发展新质生产力，实质就是要进行科技创新，要把中国的传统产业、新兴产业或者未来产业，都要用高技术来武装。武装的目的就是促进高质量发展，高质量发展目的就是要达到可持续，为子孙后代服务，既发展又不破坏这个整个的生态环境，这是我们的目的。所以，我想，刚才前几位都讲到了技术创新，那么中国在技术创新，特别是在发展新质生产力方面，决心非常的大。我们的目的就是想通过发展新质生产力，打造现代化的产业体系。那么您知道，中国的产业体系，传统产业几乎占了80%，所以需要加快用新技术来改造、升级传统产业，让它更加绿色、更加节能、更加安全、更加环保、更具有竞争力，特别是能推动可持续发展。所以，中国在这个所有的传统产业过程中，一个是能源，现在加快氢能、太阳能还有风能的发展，来替代传统的那些这个石化能源。这几年发展得非常快，而且比例上升到比我们计划的还要快。所以，我作为一个工业的做环保事业者，我感到非常的高兴。你比如说，我们在传统产业方面，我们渔业刚才讲的，我们向远海、深海发展，用网箱、大网箱、大养殖工权，用自动化来养殖这个名贵的品种，让它附加值增高。同时，我们的饵料不浪费。过去我们的饵料投放以后，很多沉到海底，污染环境。现在新的饵料基本上100%都不会浪费，也不会污染环境，所以既节约了资源，又保护了环境。比如说高端船舶，我们现在的船舶更多的是向这个绿色、智能发展，所以称那个排放非常少，脑洞非常少，对整个这个海洋的保护和以前相比大大提升。那么我们还在旅游方面发展旅游产业。这几年中国的海洋旅游加科技加文化加体育加体验加食品发展得非常的快，特别是疫情3年以后迅猛发展，占的比重非常的大。但是里面大大的增加了数字技术、AI 技术等等都增加到里面去。 让大家看到，特别是很多通过大数据形成的这种虚拟的现实，让他看到了。你比如说，在这块海域里面的地形地貌、生物怎么生活的，通过大数据搞个虚拟环境，让他看到一个类似真实的东西，了解它这个生物的生长、生物的这个链条，那么保护它就是保护自己，让他认识到这一点。所以科技给我们带来了非常非常的这个对自然界的认识会越来越深，保护环境的意识会越来越强，那么让我们的世界会变得越来越美好。所以我认为科技在中国来说是在各个层面都非常重视，通过科技提高生产力，通过科技保护环境，通过科技促进可持续发展，通过科技让人来认识保护海洋的重要性，保护地球的重要性。所以我觉得科技in大数据、in AI 智能、in别的方面，都在贯彻在整个我们中国的现代化产业的传统产业、新兴产业、未来产业的过程中，每个环节都在应用。现在国家叫大力推广，所以我们作为公益组织也在全力助力来支持这个、助力这个。主持人，我就谈这些。
Yep, thank you, Mr. Pan, for sharing insights into these additional technological aspects, especially for bringing, again, AI into the ocean economy conversation. Next, I would like to ask Mr. Jacob Erickson, who's online. You mentioned a few areas of technology that you believe are very exciting, very promising. Could you go into some more specifics, maybe one or two of the most exciting technologies that you are watching closely these days?
Thank you. Let me start by answering your former question about AI. I would say that artificial intelligence will be a vital tool for developing all the ocean industries, together with other digital technologies which will also be extremely important. And there is obviously an enormous efficiency potential in utilizing AI. And the AI will also be vital for making political and business decisions more fact-based. But it's, I think, one reason why the panel hasn't kind of raised the topic of AI is that we can't rely on AI to solve sustainability problems, because they are of a kind of collective action. They are driven by a collective action problem. Let me also add here that I think it's good to see that there seems to be an agreement in this panel about the need for international cooperation. It seems that many people and many politicians around the world have forgotten why the world economy had a strong and stable growth in the beginning of the millennia, where China was the engine of global growth, even for Norway. And in China fueled the growth through imports of natural resources and export of consumer goods, which means cooperation is essential for solving the sustainability problems, and trade is essential for growth. And I think for the vital technologies that we need for utilizing the natural resources, we also have to understand the kind of the type of problems that we need to solve. That, for example, for greenhouse gas emissions, there is an externality problem. The same with plastic pollution. While when it comes to utilizing ocean resources like wild fish and minerals, there is a lack of property rights and mobility of resources problem, which also was mentioned by Thomas Sargent. And finally, when it comes to innovation and productivity, there is a need for international cooperation, for technology development, and also for diffusion of innovations and good practice. one kind of type of technologies that have been mentioned earlier several times is also on the equipment side. To utilize the natural resources, we need to build strong and efficient value chains with a lot of different types of equipment systems to build the value chains. And I think it will be of vital importance that countries all around the world, and particularly the ones that are leading in the ocean industries, work together to both develop the technologies, share information, share technologies, and build on their own competitive strengths to improve and to utilize the natural resources of the sea. Thank you.
Right, thank you, Mr. Jacobson. Since we have about 10 minutes remaining for this panel, I would like to switch topic for the last three speakers of this panel about China's role in the global blue economy development. So Mr. Fourier first, you mentioned there are some exciting projects, collaborative projects between France and China that are ongoing projects involving the blue economy. So I wonder if you could offer some more details and what's special about these private or public projects, collaborative projects going on between France and China, why they're so interesting, why they're so important. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes. Climate, environment, biodiversity are sectors where the cooperation between France and China are very tense and huge. And it has been like that for years. The French Agency for Development have been active here, and especially in Fujian, in Haikou for the mangroves and coastline protections, etc. Chinese and French authorities have really worked together on all those subjects. But I would like, if you permit, to stress more the involvement, the commitment of some French companies, and in particular in the southern part of China, because we have here some companies established for a long time in China and fully committed to, with the local authorities, the local communities, to the coastal restoration, preservation, and mitigation effects of the climate change. And we have in particular some companies participating to the restoration of mangroves area. 10 years ago, here in Shenzhen, nearby in the mangrove of Fujian district, we had an event, the Consul General of France in Guangzhou, some companies, local authorities, the municipality of Shenzhen, and we had with us some companies, French companies, CMEE, CGM, working here in Shenzhen, Pernod Ricard in Yantian, and Haikou, SGD Pharma, active in Zhanhai. And really, I would like to stress those companies, and in particular, SGD Pharma, which is in Zhanhai and working with the local authorities, the local government, and with the local communities to restore the mangroves. This project is really getting more and more interesting, and because this French company has reached its objective to link with other French companies, and in particular the Chamber of Commerce. The French Chamber of Commerce is now fully embarked in this project, and we hope that it will be a model project for, of course, Zhanhai, but also for foreign companies, French companies in particular, because they are here in China, working in China, and participating fully to the preservation of the Chinese environment. So this is one of my really biggest, I would say, I have a lot of interest in this project, and as the Consul General in France, we try also to accompany to these efforts by a lot of events all along the month until the Nice conference to raise the attention of the public and also to stress the importance of preserving oceans, coastlines.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Fourier. Mr. Zhanhai, yes. I'd like to ask you about your views on China's evolving role in the global blue economy or ocean economy, as well as any advice you may have for Chinese policymakers as well as Chinese companies.
Yeah, thank you for this question. And I think that is just to inform the China government that the European Chamber releases the position paper every year. That's a paper which have recommendations for the government, for the EU Commission, and also for European enterprises. That paper makes it very clear what is needed to work together to achieve a sustainable future. And with this paper, I think we have a very good basis which can be shared to everyone, because we want to make sure that we can go long and together, that we can do it. The basis is that we really have the same level playing field for domestic and for the foreign enterprises here. Because we only have one ocean, the ocean is not clean anymore. We have to do everything that it will not be more polluted. We need to define technologies to clean it. Maybe the big data can help, the AI, but there should be some companies who can work out this thing, because the resources are so huge in the ocean. It's the food, the energy, the minerals, transportation, everything need to be built on future and sustainability.
Yes, thank you so much. And last but not least, Mr. Duan, you mentioned some very exciting areas of technology development that are crucial to the Chinese ocean economy. So to further enhance the Chinese role in the global blue economy, which few areas do you think are the most important, including technology and business development?
在这个海洋合作方面呢，首先需要强调的一点就是，本身这个海洋确实具有广泛的连通性，是海洋把咱们世界上所有的这个大陆连接在一起，所以通过海洋来深化合作，这是毋庸置疑的。那么哪一个领域呢？现在因为刚才几位嘉宾呢讲的都很全面了，我只想再补充一个，就是在这个海洋的生态保护和修复技术领域。 在这一部分呢，我也是希望，也是建议能够看到更多在这方面的突破和合作。我们现在对于这个陆地上生态系统的保护修复，这个技术呢相对来说成熟。近些年呢，包括中国在内的很多国家投入了大量的资金，投入了大量的人力，在开展海洋生态系统的保护和修复。 那么但是呢，我们更多的是移接于陆地上一些已有的技术，但是海洋的复杂性和连通性不是陆地所能够比较的，所以我希望呢，包括这个我们，比如说我们在这个重新修复了一片海草床或者是珊瑚礁，它是否能够抵抗超强的台风的影响？那么这些技术如何来突破？这个需要所有的这个学者，包括所有的国家来共同来完成这一个举措。 虽然我们可以看到这一项技术现阶段不一定能够为我们带来，不一定能够让我们赚钱， 但是呢，它在我们节省了很多公共投资经费的基础上，能够让我们能够更好的、更有成效的促进生态系统的健康，实现可持续发展。好，谢谢主持人。
Thank you, Mr. Duan. I think this wraps up our very wide-ranging and in-depth discussion about the potentials for the blue economy. Our experts, 6 expert speakers from wide-ranging areas of study and expertise, shared their inside analysis from the point of views of governments, NGOs, private companies, scientists on how to enhance the global blue economy as well as how to help China and its economic partners to better work together in terms of building a more sustainable, better protected ocean environment as well as the blue economy. So thank you very much for coming to this session, and please stick around for the rest of the conference. Thank you so much.